The Flashpoint XPLOR 600 Pro and 400 Pro are two lights that have a good amount of power and are excellent strobes to consider, but have some pretty big differences. In this video, I'll go over exactly what makes them different and who I think these lights are better suited for. If you would like me to compare some other lights out there, let me know which lights in the comment section below, and I'll consider making a video going over what makes those lights different. Before I continue, I do want to let you know that this video is sponsored by Adorama. Adorama is an industry-leading retailer that has been serving photography, videography, and audio customers for almost 50 years now. Their motto is everyone is a creator, and they do their best to unleash that creator within us all by providing us with the tools and expertise necessary to get the job done. I personally shop at Adorama for both the great deals on products I use and recommend, but also the great customer service on those products as well. If you find yourself interested in any product that I talk about in today's video, including the XPLOR 600 Pro and 400 Pro, then definitely check out the links that are going to be in the description area below, and be sure to use those links if you decide to order. Starting off with the most noticeable difference between the Flashpoint XPLOR 600 Pro and the 400 Pro is the size and the weight. The 600 Pro weighs 6.6 pounds, while the 400 Pro is actually 2 pounds lighter at 4.6 pounds. When it comes to how they differ exactly in their size, I'll throw the dimensions on the screen so you guys can see exactly how much they differ in that size, but I can tell you right away that the 600 Pro is a good amount bigger. There's actually two other factors that affect the size of the XPLOR 400 Pro, in that it has the ability to detach the light stand attachment on the bottom, and it also uses Godox Mount by default. If you decide to use the bonus mount that it comes with in the box, then that'll make it a little bit bigger. I actually have both of the configurations of the XPLOR 400 Pro right here. This is the one with the bonus mount and the light stand attachment on the bottom, and this one is the Godox mount with the reflector and the cap on it with no light stand attachment on the bottom. This one fits nicer into camera bags, but again, you just have the option of removing the light stand attachment if that's something you want to do. I actually made use of that in the past whenever I traveled. I would remove the light stand attachment and put that either in the side of the camera bag or in my check bag so it can fit nicer into my camera bag. Even though the 400 Pro and 600 Pro aren't exactly the lightest lights out there, I think something else to consider is if you want the additional weight of an extra battery for either of these two lights, because the 400 Pro with an extra battery is still smaller and lighter than the 600 Pro. The 600 Pro is rated to be 350 full powered shots, while the 400 Pro is rated to be 390 full powered shots. Despite the fact that the 400 Pro has more battery life at full power than the 600 Pro, if you did intend to use the 600 Pro at only 400 watts or lower, then you would actually get more battery life. If you did actually want to use it at only 400 watts, then at 400 watts, you would get about 466 shots at that power output. Talking about power outputs, another thing to consider is the power difference between the two lights, which is 200 watts of power. While I do believe in having more power and not needing all of it, rather than having less power and needing more, the power difference between the two lights isn't too crazy. I would say to give more importance to the size and weight of the two lights, because if you had the 400 Pro and the 600 Pro at the exact same position at a photo shoot, in order to gain that extra 200 watts that the 400 watt doesn't have in the 600, then you would just need to move it a little bit closer to the subject to get that equivalent extra power that you lost, or not lost, but didn't have with the 400 watt compared to the 600 watt. However, if every single inch does matter to you for completely valid reasons, let's say for some reason you have a limit in the distance between you and the subject, and you need that extra power with the 600 Pro, then it might be beneficial to have all that 600 watts of power so that your light can reach those further distances. Something else that's related to the power output is the recycle times, and the recycle times of both these strobes is going to be 1 second on the 600 Pro and 0.9 seconds on the 400 Pro. While the 400 Pro beats the 600 Pro in terms of full power shot recycle time, it does have to be said that again, if you did use the 600 Pro at a lower 400 watt equivalent, then you would actually get a faster recycle time of about 0.6 seconds from what I tested. For anyone who does studio work or intends to use their light at a night photo shoot like I do, the modeling lamp feature is something else to consider. On the 600 Pro, it is going to be 38 watts, while the 400 Pro's modeling lamp is 30 watts. If any of you are curious about the flash durations between these two lights, then you should know that the 400 Pro slightly beats the 600 Pro, and you'll see on the screen right now exactly by how much it does beat the 600 Pro. Another difference to consider between the 600 Pro and the 400 Pro are going to be the mounts that they use. The 600 Pro uses the very common Bowens mount, while the 400 Pro uses the not so common Godox mount by default, but does come with a Bowens mount attachment. So if you guys watching this have any sort of Bowens mount modifiers, you'll be fine getting either of these two lights. But I did want to talk a little bit more about the Godox mount that the 400 Pro uses, because even though there's not many modifiers for that mount, the ones that are out there are really good. Adorama sells two sizes of their glow brand modifiers in the Godox Mount, and that's going to be the 33.4 inch and the 25.5 inch parabolic softboxes. The reason why I wanted to go over the Godox Mount a little bit more that the 400 Pro offers is because the Godox Mount is much smaller than the Bowens Mount. So if you actually had two comparable sizes of Godox Mount and Bowens Mount modifiers, like the 34-inch Glow Beauty Dish in Bowens Mount compared to the 33.4-inch parabolic softbox in Godox Mount, you would see that the 33.4-inch, that Godox Mount, is actually going to be much smaller. And being much smaller means that it can fit nicer into a checked camera bag like I have done in the past whenever I traveled, or just simply strapping the Godox Mount softbox to the side of my camera bag whenever I'm shooting locally. Price is the very last factor I wanted to talk about because it's not exactly black and white here. The 600 Pro actually comes in a version with TTL and without TTL. At normal pricing, the version of the 600 Pro with TTL is $899 and the version without TTL is $719. Even though I wish that the 400 Pro had a version without TTL to make that light cheaper, it only comes in a TTL version at $649. Because of these price differences, I would ask you to ask yourself a few different questions. Do you have enough money for the 600 Pro TTL? Does the size of the light matter? Do you need that extra 200 watts of power that the 600 Pro has? And does TTL matter to you or not? The reason why I asked you to ask if you have enough money for the 600 Pro TTL is because of not just the fact that you could afford the light, but let's say, for example, you only had enough money for that 600 Pro TTL, only $900. Well, it's a matter of, do you want to spend all that money for just that one light by itself? Or would you rather choose the cheaper option without TTL or the cheaper option of the 400 Pro TTL and using some of those savings for a light stand, a transmitter, or a softbox, or just simply using all that $900 for just the light by itself? The reason why I asked you to ask yourself about the size of the light is because if the size of the light did matter, if you cared only about having a smaller light, then that would eliminate the 600 Pro options and you would be left with the 400 Pro. But if you didn't mind the size of the light, then you would need to determine if you want that 600 watts of power, which is more than 400 watts of course, or if you wanted to be fine with just 400 watts of power. And lastly, if you did want 600 watts of power, then that would leave you with the question of whether or not you want TTL, because then you can go for the 600 Pro manual or the 600 Pro TTL. For me personally, I tend to go for my 400 Pro more than my 600 Pro because I don't need all the power that the 600 Pro offers, since I do use my 400 Pro really close to the subject. Plus, I really do like those Godox Mount modifiers because of how portable they are. So the 400 Pro with those portable modifiers is a better bet for me than the 600 Pro with Bowens Mount modifiers. If you did want more power and you didn't mind using Bowens Mount modifiers, especially if you didn't want to have to buy another softbox like those Godox Mount modifiers, then you definitely should go for the 600 Pro because that also will help you out with overpowering the sun if that's something that you want to do. That's pretty much it for this video. I hope this video gave you more information about the 600 Pro and the 400 Pro so you can make a better decision if you guys wanted to get one of those two lights. Be sure to use the links in the description area below. But if you guys have any other questions about these two lights, let me know in the comment section below so I can help you out. I want to give one last thanks to Adorama for sponsoring this video. It does really allow me to dedicate more time to my channel and make free videos for you guys when they sponsor my stuff, so definitely check them out. Take care guys, and I'll see you in the very next video.